German passive voice with the simple past or narrative past tense. So before we go ahead and take a look at the past tense, let's review the present tense between active voice and passive voice. By definition, the active voice is when the subject performs or does the action of the verb. So in English, I build the house, the verb is build, who or what is building, I. Therefore, I is the subject which is doing or performing the action of the verb. Who's building? I. In German, ich baue das Haus. Period. In passive voice, the subject no longer performs or does the action of the verb. So the house is built by me. The verb or verb phrase is built. Who or what is built? The house. Therefore, the subject is not building itself. It would look kind of silly for a house to be building itself. In German, the passive voice construction is Das Haus wird von mir gebaut. We use the present tense of werden and the past participle of the main verb. So what changes between present tense and now past tense? Let's go ahead and look at active voice first. So in the active voice, we have, instead of I build, I built, past tense. In German, ich baute das Haus. Ich baute das Haus. In the passive voice, we once again need to, in a sense, flip our sentence. So the subject is now, it's now the subject which was the direct object. So to say, I built the house, we now say the house was built by me. So note this is past tense. In German, that becomes Das Haus wurde von mir gebaut. So my question to you is, what changed or what do you notice between the present tense and the past tense of the passive voice? Remembering that active and passive are not tenses, they are voices. So what do you notice? If you noticed that werde, or the werden form, was replaced now by the simple past tense of our werden verb, then you are correct. So, narrative past, or the simple past tense of werden, is our first verb. And then we utilized the past participle of the main verb. So, instead of present tense, passive voice, das Haus wird von mir gebaut, this, in the past tense, becomes das Haus wurde von mir gebaut. So let's review the past of werden. The stem is wurde. So, ich wurde, du wurdest, sie es wurde, wir wurden, ihr wurdet, sie wurden. Once you know the simple past of werden and you're able to conjugate it, then the only other component for the passive voice that you need to remember is the past participle of the main verb. Now, be careful. Don't assume it's regular or irregular, and look it up if you're unsure. Here are some examples. Zum Beispiel, das Brief wurde von meiner Freundin geschrieben. Schreiben becomes geschrieben for the past participle, and we conjugated wurde for the es form. Another example. Du wurdest von mir gesehen. So, we're seen. We have the simple past of werden conjugated to go with you, du wurdest, and then we use to see, which is sehen, and we look up or recall what the past participle is. Sehen, gesehen. In der DDR oder in der Deutschen Demokratischen Republik wurde die Bundesrepublik Westdeutschland genannt. So we're looking at was called. Was, we're looking at the past tense of werden. So to conjugate that for er, sie, es form, even though that looks like a really long word that could be plural, no, it's the er, sie, es form. So wurde. And then the verb nennen, to call, becomes the past participle genannt. So take a minute to try these 4 sentences. Übung macht den Meister. Notice that I've given you the infinitives of the verbs, so don't forget, if you're unsure of what the past participles are, to look them up. Pause this video, write these sentences, and resume the video when you're ready to check your answers. Die erste Bibel wurde von Gutenberg gedruckt. Dichtungen wurden, because that's plural, von Franz gesungen. Laute Musik wurde bis 2 Uhr gespielt. Meine Eltern wurden nicht eingeladen.